I've been on a quest to find the best tools under $20 from different retailers, and there's two things that I love, and that is inexpensive tools and utility knives. Let's tear into here, and here it is right on the top. This is the Klein Tools Flick Blade utility knife with a scraper built in. Now this guy came in at $19.98. One of the utility knives I love the most is the Tough Built Scraper, where it flicks open and it's got that dual motion that opens it. And I would love to be showing you that right now, but I spent an hour looking around the shop trying to find it, and I have no idea where it went. But here's some video of me doing it in another YouTube video. That thing is awesome. So I want to know if this can fill its place. So let's dive in and see how it looks. All right, well, right out of the gate, looks like we got our blade storage here, so that's nice. And then here's our flick back. Now, one thing it did say on the package, it has this locking feature, which is pretty cool. It locks actually at, I think it says 135 degrees. So if you're doing something like carpet, I kind of like that. I haven't seen that in any other utility knife that I have. So I kind of like that little extra indent that you can lock it. But what I'm really interested in is what's going on down here. So I'm gonna close this, and it's pretty standard, but now, woohoo! Oh, I like that. That is so cool. Ooh, that's nice. It's not quite as nice as the Tough Built with that one motion. I don't like that I have to do two hands, but the fact that I can get a scraper in here is still pretty sweet. So you just put that right in there, and then you just get, that is a sharp blade too. That just digs right in. Either way, I really like that. Now, how do I get the blade out? I do see a little screw there, and I would love a toolless blade changing, but you know what? I like it. I'm gonna give it a thumbs up. I think this is a pretty cool tool because it's 2-in-1. I would still probably go with the Tough Built, but this is a great option to have. I do have a confession. This was a tool that I saw on a YouTube video and I impulse bought it. But we've all been there. You're on Amazon, it's late at night, you might be hopped up on some Mountain Dew, and I ended up just clicking over and seeing what other tools were available. And they have this nice little section up top you can click on that says best sellers. So I clicked on it to see what was there. And there was a lot there. And I just started shopping. I started looking through and I wanted to buy anything that was cool that was under $20, and that's where the rest of these come into play. And I am gonna use my flick blade. I may have called it the flip back, switch back, I don't know what it's called. But the next tool up there, which was the #1 bestseller in the power tool category, was the Jorest 38-piece precision screwdriver kit. I've got my doubts about this one, but let's check it out. All right, now right off the bat, getting a little crazy with the logo there. We got a buck on here. You like to hunt deer while you're screwing in your precision screwdriver. Now there is a one red flag I saw on the back here. This says Jorest ring doorbell replacement. I don't know what that means either. Maybe this is like a kit for replacing your Ring doorbell and it's got all the stuff in there. But this guy came in at $8.49, but my goodness, the reviews, it had 43,327 reviews for 4.6 stars. So I'm hoping for big things here. And I don't have to open it with this. It's just this little cheap case and cheap screwdriver inside. All right, first impressions, not good. Not good. This looks like a Ring doorbell replacement kit. I already have some bits in here, which is nice, so 38 piece. I do like the variety of bits here. So we go all the way from Torque 1 to T10, and then another T15. We have some star bits, we have triangle bits, as well as X bit, and then of course just some regular Phillips and slotted bits. So that is a nice assortment of screwdriving tips for taking apart electronics, stuff like that. That's probably what this is meant for, thus the Ring doorbell. Now the cool thing about having all these bits, we have these Torques here, is that these are perfect for if you want to take apart electronics or even small tools. So we've got the little flick blade, and if you look here, there's all these little Torx bits across here. So if you have tools like that have these small Torx bits, this would be the perfect set to use that with. But of course it is great for electronics too, because we have other things in here like the little plastic pry bars, which are great for popping over plastic shells of toys. We also have tweezers, which are great for plucking your eyebrows when you get old and you get these big furry bushy eyebrows like I have. So yeah, my first thought was not that great on this thing, but I tell you what, for $8.49, I think it's a good buy. Now, after I bought the first bestseller, it kind of felt like I just had to buy more. There's the whole list there. So I started going through, and actually number 2, I already own those, some Fisker's shearing pruning shears. And number 3, I was able to hold myself back and not buy yet another utility knife because that one kind of looked like a piece of junk. Then you had some WD-40, which maybe we'll come back to that one. But I started scrolling through and just looking for some good ones that were under 20 bucks, but also that they were kind of around the woodworking adjacent, let's call it. And I got down to number 10, and that one looked kind of interesting. Let's see what it was. And it was the Hardell cordless rotary tool, 4 volts. So this comes in at $19.75. It did have 11,356 reviews, but only 4.3 stars. All right, so this is basically just a mini Dremel tool. And I know Dremel is a brand, but it's what I basically call all rotary tools. I do like a nice little case, keep things organized. So this is a good start. Yeah, this is just a little mini rotary tool. Not sure how much power this is gonna have, but we have USB charging cable, and kudos to them. That actually looks like you have at least a couple feet of wire. And then we have the accessory kit. So this is kind of cool. We've got a few little drill bits, burr tools in different profiles. I forget what they're called, some kind of stone abrasives. And then a little spindle here that sanding pads will go right onto that. And then this other one will be for the cutoff disc. Oh, and look at this, no way. Oh, this is the best thing in here. Check that out. This is the world's smallest table saw blade. Dude, we have got to cut something with this. I bet this thing dulls in 32 milliseconds. By the way, this actually reminds me of something. This. Saw Blade Sunset shirts. These are our shirts if you didn't know, and they are available on our site, designed by our very own editor, Chris. So check them out. All right, I do have my safety glasses on now, and I did take a quick look at this, and I applaud Hardell for transparency, if nothing else. Attention! Not for heavy duty projects. Yeah, so and it shows them like, engraving some stuff and drilling holes in a seashell and cutting, what is that, butter? I don't know. It literally looks like butter. So right out of the gate, clearly not for heavy duty, but we're gonna go ahead and check it out. Anyway, I went ahead and took this thing for a test spin, and I wanted to see how it did with the sanding as well as the cutting. So I put the little circular sanding discs on there, and they actually worked pretty good. Actually, they gave a great nail file finish. That's delightful. So maybe it should be a pedicurist kit, but it also rounded over the poplar wood, so it does work as a sander, and I think I could see this in some crafting projects for sure. Oh geez. And then when I put that little saw blade on there, I gotta say, after a slow start, it worked pretty darn well. Oh yeah. Woo, look at that. Oh. Now, all in all, this is exactly what it says it is, not made for heavy duty. So if you wanted to use this for crafting and things like that, perfect use, and it is nice and compact and cordless. But I think under any kind of heavy load, this thing would die very quickly. I kept scrolling through the best sellers, and what did I see at number 13? But one of my favorite tools is like seeing an old friend. And that was our next tool up, the Hakko CHP 170. Now the Hakko comes in at $5.47, and these are basically micro cutters, flush cutters, a couple different names for them, but these things are amazing. So amazing so, I didn't just buy one, I bought 3. I mean, at $5.47, you just have to stack up, and I'm still under 20 bucks. And you can tell people like them because we have 21,797 reviews at 4.7 stars. These are awesome. Let me show you why. So the nice thing about these guys, they are made in Italy. So it's not Hakko, maybe it's like Hakko, something like that. I don't know. Apologize if you're Italian. But these are flush cutters, and if you've ever bought a 3D printer, they come with flush cutters, but they probably came with something like this. And these are complete trash. When you put them together, the jaws don't quite mesh right, and don't think that these are anything like these. This is a high quality pair, and it is worth, it's $5.47. It is worth the purchase. And the thing that actually I probably use these the most for is cutting 3D printer filament. They're also great for puncturing the filament rolls. That vacuum seal, that's always a favorite of mine. So whenever you open a new roll of filament, you've always got the filament that is right there tied in, and that's what these are perfect for. Just go in there and knock off that little bit, and now you can feed that straight into your printer with ease. And anytime you put it back in there, you can just give it a cut again. It's also great for cutting support materials on your 3D prints. But another thing I like to use it for is cutting zip ties. So if you need to have a zip tie here that you got, you can cut that. Whoa, super easy. And also you can actually cut cords. Something small like that, anything under 16 gauge, these things are perfect for. I use them all the time. That's why I bought 3. I like to have several of them around the different 3D printers I have, and they're also good in the shop. So huge buy on these. Highly recommend. Get 1, 2, 3, 4, a dozen. Now, after 13, I was scrolling for a bit, and they tried to hook me with that 4-pack of multicolored utility knives for $9.99, but I did resist. But what I did see coming in at number 33 on the bestseller list was our next tool. And this one I thought could be perfect for on the go or in the car or truck. And that was the EcoFine 46-piece 1/4-inch socket set. And out of 6,260 reviews, it had 4.5 stars. You know, a good socket set is always nice to have, especially when you are in a car and you're not at home, to have all your full socket sets available. And this is objects in the mirror may be smaller than they appear. I was expecting something slightly larger than this. It's not 3/8 inch. It's quarter. It is a quarter drive, which is very small. So we've got our little extension bars here. We do have a 4-inch and a 2-inch to, you know, get into the different areas. And also you have a flexible one, which actually that's pretty cool. That is not bad. And let's see what else we have here. A screwdriver, ooh, with a little bit set in the back. You do this, put that on there. Oh, ooh, I like that. Check that out. So you got the screwdriver, and it's got the head for the bolts. So if you wanted to do anything by hand, you can put it in there and get the extra torque. Huh? That's kind of cool. I kind of like that a lot, actually. This is in metric. We've got from 4 to 14 millimeters, and then we have hex drivers, Torx. We've also got some Phillips here. Whatever this is, tell me down in the comments, what does that one stand for? It's got the little extra bits and bobs on it. Is that a posi drive? All right, so I'm gonna give this just a quick test run. All right, let's see if this little guy works. And it does. Spins it nicely. These are obviously not gonna be the best wrenches and sockets in the world. This is more of just a cheap alternative if you need it in an emergency. So for $14.44, you know, you kind of get what you paid for. Now I do love working on electronics, and so I am a sucker for a small precision screwdriver set. I know we tried one out, but there was another one that caught my eye coming in at number 39, and that was the AXTH 25-in-1 precision screwdriver set. Now, this guy came in at $8.99, but it also had a 10% off coupon. So almost less than $8. Now, I do love the look of this. This one looked much more professional, and it had 2,708 reviews for 4.6 stars. So I wanted to check this one out as well, and maybe we'll compare it to that earlier one as well. Okay, so I like the case. It's kind of sleek, and it says open this way. Ooh. Now, right off the bat, this is metal, which I do like. So I'll pull this little screwdriver out here, and hopefully these are magnetic. All of them magnetic except for the one that likes to fall out. That's okay. But here's our little precision screwdriver. Super, super basic. This is just some machined aluminum, but it does feel nice in the hand. I like that a lot better than the other one. When we compare this guy to the Jorest, I would take this aluminum one all day over this plastic, nasty looking piece of junk. We have the different Torx. Now this is not cool. So this just kind of gives the display. I really wish they would have had what number these were. It just shows you what type of bit, but it is written on the side of the bit. The problem is that a lot of these are turned, so you can't even read it. So basically over half of them, I can't read what they are. So we do have a couple extra profiles that the other one did not have, but the packaging, yeah, I don't love the packaging. So overall, I'm feeling like I might actually go with the Jorest instead of this one. My big thing is if I'm grabbing these, I want to know exactly what bit I'm going to do, and I want to do it easily, and this is not going to make that easy for me at all. And because I am, you know, old now, I can't see real well. I don't want to be trying to read the side of these to know what they are. So unfortunately, I think I'm gonna have to pass. If they changed the silk screen on that, I think that would be way better. But this one, not for me. Now, after 39, I kept scrolling for quite a while. Although at number 49, I did see a nice Klein multi-screwdriver, but I already have that one. And until I got down to number 95 on the bestseller list, that one kind of caught my eye. And that was the Kaderk push-to-lock bit screwdriver unlock. What is this thing called? This thing is called a push-to-unlock screwdriver bit holder quick change. I think I missed a few words there, but this is what it is. Now, you probably couldn't see anything because I've got a big sticker right over the packaging there, but the Kaderk comes in at $9.99. And it's got a fair number of reviews at 10,090, but only a 4.4, so a little sus. We'll see how it works. First of all, Kaderk. That is an unfortunate name, but you know, you gotta do what you gotta do when you're an Amazon brand. But when we open this up, basically what this is a little keychain. So it looks like we've got a little carabiner here. And these guys, basically what you can do is put the different bit types onto the keychain, and then you've got them all at your ready. So I'm gonna hook 4 of these guys on here, and they're color coded, which is cool. So that way you can know exactly what you're grabbing without having to look at the bit, you just look at the color. Pretty cool idea. Now the idea behind this I like, and that is having a place for all your different bits, because when I was just doing some work over in my shed, I was building some stuff, and I went between all 4 of these bits. So I was going in between and changing, and I'm setting them down and I'm losing them. I really like the idea of having these just on a keychain. So let's put these on here and see how it works. We'll go orange. Orange seems like Phillips. That one seems to lock a little bit weird, but you put that on your tool belt. And then now, whenever you need to switch over bits, you can do that. Now, I'm not sure if I love how that works here. Seems like kind of a novel idea. And when I say novel, I mean tchotchke idea, you know, kind of maybe dumb. But the more I've played with these, it's a little hard to lock in. Sometimes they don't always go in the right way. I think if you put it out in the wild, just see how you used it, it might work out better. I just think for this one specifically, it seems like it doesn't work real well, and I can see why it's probably got 4.4 stars. So I got to the end of the 100 best sellers in the power and hand tools, but I had to scroll back up to the top. Because coming in at number 4 was the WD-40 Specialist Silicone Spray. Even though this video is sponsored by WD-40 brand, I wouldn't traditionally call this a hand tool. But by golly, if it's number 4 on the best seller list in hand tools, we're calling it a hand tool. With 18,284 reviews, this came in at 4.8 stars, so you know that it's a winner. And basically, the Specialist Silicone, it is a lubricant with a quick drying nature to it that doesn't leave any sticky residue. It's got the smart straw here, so you can get precision or you can get that nice big blast, so you'll never lose your straw again. And it's a lubricant with water resistance, so it's great for using outdoors. On things like gates, so using your hinges and locks, it is perfect for that. But this isn't just made for metal. This will also work on rubbers, plastics, and vinyl, so that makes it perfect for automotive use as well. WD-40 brand isn't just the original formula that we all know and love. They have a full line of specialist products just like the silicone spray that are made for specific applications. They're gonna keep your home, truck, workshop running smoothly. I'll have a link down below in the description to this and the full lineup. You can go check them out. A big thank you to WD-40 brand for sponsoring today's video and making awesome products. After blasting through the best sellers in the power and hand tools, I went over to the measuring and layout tools because those are another category that I just love. And right when I bounced into the category, the top one kind of caught my eye. And yes, I think they got me because it was sponsored, but it still looked really cool. And so, of course, I bought it. And that was a tungsten carbide scriber from PSY MPZTG F. Let's check it out. These guys came in at $8.99, and it said is the lowest price in 30 days. Again, the marketing kind of getting me. I didn't have very many reviews, only 273, but it did have 4.7 stars. 4 of the little scribes here. So we do have the little ruler. We've got metric as well as imperial. And we've got, what do we have here? 2, 4, that's 10. So we've got 20 different little inserts. And then I assume that these are gonna have them, yes, they have them already in there. Wow, that is a tiny and sharp looking tip to this guy. So let's see how it marks on wood. Some people use marking knives, but you could also use this scriber. So let's see how that works. Ooh, that sound of it just ripping the fibers. Now, this is not going to show up very well on the camera, but there is a nice line. This is just poplar, so it's a soft wood, but there is a nice solid line there. That actually worked very nicely. We'll see how it does on metal, because this is tungsten carbide. This should be able to scribe on metal also. Look at that. That did nicely. A little edge in there, so if you need to make your little cut with your metal bandsaw, it would go right in. I'm just gonna make a bunch of little scribes here and see if it dulls very quickly. It actually kind of seemed to get better, or maybe just my technique was getting better, but yeah, this is very sharp. So I think I like these scribes. I think these will come in handy, especially for metalwork, and also when you're putting on this little top piece here. Listen to this. Ooh, that's nice. So yeah, I'm gonna recommend these. I dig them. All right, so the last one they got me, that was not a bestseller, it was a sponsored. So I remembered I was here for bestsellers. And I saw a pencil item. I scrolled down a little bit further and I saw a combo with that pencil as well as another item, and I grabbed it. And that was the Thorvald combo, Carpenter Square and Carpenter's Pencil. And I'll tell you what, that's a great combo. So this combo set came in at $17.15, which I thought was pretty good because the pencil alone was over 10 bucks. And so we get the Carpenter Square on it from Thorvald. And let's see here. We had 1,668 reviews at 4.7 stars. So pretty decent here. So this is obviously very similar to the Pika Dry or the Ox pencil that we looked at recently. So it's like a 2.8 millimeter lead. So nice and thick and beefy. But what this has is you can pull off this part and you get that long neck to it for deep hole. So it even says here for deep hole. Not deep holes, just deep hole. You can only use it one time. All right, so taking a little bit deeper look at this Thorvald pencil and how it stacks up to the Ox and the Pika. Obviously, these have been around. These are great. And the nice thing about these is that they have the little sharpener right here on the end, and it does have a little pouch. So you can put that in, put that on your belt. Same thing with the Ox, and the sharpener is right here on the side. So it's nice and quick and easy to sharpen. I actually missed it on the Thorvald, but it's actually here in the cap. You actually unscrew the cap, and then there's a little itty bitty tiny thing in there, and that is for sharpening. So let's see here. If I dull this guy up and I go in to sharpen it, yeah, I mean, it sharpens fine, but don't know that I love that for whatever reason. I guess with the other ones, you still have to like take it out and use it, but you've already got it out. I don't know. What do you think? Is that good or bad? I'm on the fence. I do think this feels pretty darn nice. It feels pretty similar to these other ones, the Pika Dry, same size. And I do like that the fact that you can change kind of the writing style here, and that does feel a lot better than just having that deep hole. The smaller shaft doesn't feel quite as good in your hands, if you know what I mean. Okay, I think that's enough on that one. So looking at the Carpenter Square here, so let's check this thing out. I think it's gonna work pretty much like a Carpenter Square works. We'll check for square. So I'll do one line and then a line next to it. And if they're parallel, then it's square. And a little bit off there. Pretty close, but maybe just a little bit off. And then we've got these nice little holes here for the marking gauge. So if I want to make a line at 1 3/4, I could do that, or 1 1/4. That works pretty well as you can make marks right here. Actually, I do like that. I like this little window here. So if I do have that and I want to have it flush to the front, I could mark my 1 inch, 2, 3 here, and then back off and do it on this other side. So you can mark both sides of a corner at the same time, which is pretty cool. So it does have these little holes in here, and I was reading the packaging and it says drill gauge with wrench function. So it's saying this is a 6-in-1 tool, and they are calling these a wrench function, which I think is absurd. You're never gonna use this to wrench anything. Maybe the end, and I think this is even too small, but the end of like a paint sprayer would be the only thing I could ever think you would use this for. But one thing right out of the gate that I'm not digging is look at these little greasy fingerprints I'm putting all over this thing. This is like, this finish just like attracts dirt and grease, it seems like. And also, these are printed on the top, so there's no indentation there. So if this gets worn, these markings are gonna go away. You're not gonna be able to see them because that's all just silk screened on the top. But all in all, this combo together, I think it's pretty good. At this point, I was just kind of scrolling through and looking at now the bestseller icons. I don't know why I didn't go to the bestseller page and look at the top hundreds. I was just shopping. I was on Amazon. I was on the mood. You know how it goes. And so the next one that I did see, though, was pretty interesting to me, was a non-contact voltage tester. And it seemed like it got pretty good reviews. So I got it. And that was the Kaiweeeeets non-contact voltage detector. And first of all, I just love the name Kaiweeeeets. I feel like Little Sweet, like Little Sweet.
Sweet Diet Dr. Pepper.
I think they need to have like a Little Sweets, Kaiweeeeets, mascot trade over. I think this could do well for them. So the Kaiweeeeets is $12.99, has 21,182 reviews at 4.5 stars. Now, I'm a little torn. I'll go ahead and open this up, but I don't think that a voltage detector is really where you want to save money. Maybe. But let's find out. Maybe this is just totally fine. Maybe it's totally fine. Looks nice. All right, 2 AAA batteries. And did I put those in the wrong way? Maybe just hold it in. There we go. All right. And of course, got a little screen protector. We'll just pull that right off. All right, I want to test these because I really do not want to recommend a voltage detector that doesn't work because, voltage. You don't want to cheap out. But this is the Klein one I have. This guy is 27 bucks. Klein is a very well respected brand and I completely trust this one. It also has the same features though, 12 to 1000 volts for high sensitivity and 70 to 1000 for low sensitivity, same as this guy. But this guy does have the light. There you go. Got the flashlight, where this one does not. There is a variety with the flashlight that costs even more. It does have the little LCD, which could go bad, but whatever. So I'm gonna put these both on high sensitivity mode, 12 volts to 1000 volts. And now it is nice, the Klein has a green light. This has a green screen, so let's see if this changes. Now I did plug in this wire, so this is plugged into my AC 120 volts here in the US of A. And let's go here with this one first. Okay, so it kind of has a slow beep starting, goes from green to blue, right about 1.5 inches away. And then really it goes faster as you get there. So let's test this guy. So this does not pick it up until you're almost right on top of it. Obviously, again, you want to just like really move it around. Let's just switch this over to the 70 volts just to make sure it's not anything weird there. Same thing. So it's still not picking it up even on the 70 to 120. So in that 70 to 1000, even the Klein, you've got to really get right on top of that hot wire for it to pick it up when you're in the non-sensitive mode. But the Kaiweeeeets doesn't even pick it up in the non-sensitive mode. Oh, there it goes. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. So I'm gonna say, don't save your money, that the sensitivity is not here at the Kaiweeeeets. I mean, yes, it will come on eventually, but I would still definitely go with the Klein, something proven that is more sensitive, just to make sure you're being safe with electricity. Now, the next bestseller that caught my eye was one that I've actually been thinking about for a while, and that is an automotive tester for circuits. And so I thought, I need this, even though I don't, but it was under $20, so I went for it. And that was the WinAmu Automotive Test Light. And they definitely get the award for most generic package and worst name at the same time. And the name's not even on the packaging. So this guy came in at $8.45, 823 reviews, 4.7 stars. So pretty good ratings. Probably gonna have to take this outside to the truck to test it. I got a few ideas. It does say 324 or 48 volts. So this is made for only cars. Very different than only fans. So the WinAmu, it looks like, oh, okay. It's got a little socket cover there. Ow, gosh, dang. I was just about to say, so you don't stick yourself with that. And this wiring job they've got here is bent back, and one of those little wires just stuck right in my finger. That is a negative already for WinAmu. All right, but what I did want to do is see if this will actually register with an 18 volt battery. Now let's see. Oh yeah, look at that, 20.4 volts. This actually works. But I went ahead and took this out to the truck, and the first thing I did, pop the hood and check the battery, and sure enough, the battery came up 12 volts, 12.4 volts. So this thing works great for the battery, but the better use of it is actually going over to your fuse box. I clipped on the little negative terminal there to a grounding screw on the truck. Then you can go around and just poke that little open side of the fuse, and you can tell if it's getting voltage. But you can also use that to figure out which of those fuses are off when the key is just in the ignition and kind of the accessory mode, or if you have to be in the on mode, or the car has to be running. So I really did like that about this. My biggest concern about this is just build quality. So looking at it, obviously it pricked me in the finger. That was kind of stupid. And when I look inside here, this is just basically a circuit board with a little voltage detector. You can see it's just kind of like floating in there. It's just compressed on top of it. So, you know, that is not a great connection. That's not going to last over time. But for $8.45, I think this is definitely a win if you're trying to get some electrical troubleshooting. I'd even call it a win-a-moo. Now, one of the items that I had seen earlier on the power and hand tools were digital calipers, and I love a good set of digital calipers, but for under 20 bucks, typically they're gonna be plastic. So when I saw a pair of metal digital calipers for under 20 bucks, I jumped on them. Coming in a very nondescript box is the Giaveri 6-inch digital caliper. But this guy came in at $15.98. And it was on a lightning deal. Like I said, caught my eye. So let's open it up here. And yeah, we've got some metal calipers. Just, you can't beat a good pair of calipers. Maybe you can beat a bad pair. Off the bat, they feel nice in the hand. Comes right on, that's actually kind of cool. So when I unlocked it and started moving it, it came right on. This wheel here is a bit loose. You kind of push it down to engage it anyway. But a good set of calipers, to me, is that they have the inches and they do have fractions, just because, you know, us stupid Americans over here, we need to have our fractions and we don't like the metric system, so we're against that. And this goes all the way up to 128th. So if you need to cut something that's 63 128ths, we got you. And let's see here what else we have. We can scroll through, obviously, the millimeters, so we got 12.41 millimeters, if you wondered what 63 128ths is. And then decimal, 0.4888, that's out to the 10,000th. 185 10,000ths of an inch. Do not like that wheel at all. Don't like the way that feels and the way that it kind of clicks around. Let's see our little slick back here. 49/64, you know, for my friends in the back, 19.4 millimeters. They slide good. It even comes with a couple extra batteries and a little screwdriver to open it up. The on-off button feels pretty nice. This one feels nice, but the 0 doesn't have a click to it. Ooh, I hate that. I don't think I mentioned this does have 8,770 reviews and 4.6 stars. And quite frankly, I'm not going to agree with them. I would not give this 4.6 stars. I don't like the fit and finish of two things. One, for sure, this little wheel. So I have my other little Wixie ones, and these are not like super expensive. These were probably also 20 bucks at some point. But just the tightness, just you can see, even if I unlock this, have them both unlocked, you hear that? There's no shake over here. I would definitely look for a different pair though. You can find a good pair for around 20 bucks. It's just not this one. I continued browsing around in the measuring and layout tools and wasn't seeing a ton, but then of course I am a sucker for a good deal. So another deal popped up and it was on something that I wanted, which was a laser measuring device. And so of course I had to grab it. And that was the Rockseed 165 foot or 50 meter laser measurer. Now the Rockseed was $16.14 on Lightning Deal, and I'm a sucker for Lightning Deal. And it had a whopping 26,224 reviews, although only at 4.4 stars. So let's see how this one comes together. Okay, let's rip into this bad boy. We've got two little bubble levels, which, yeah, I don't think we're gonna be using those for anything. But I do like that it is AAA versus 9 volt, which some of these are. Fire this guy up and get to measuring. All right, I'll turn it on. I'm gonna hold it down. Maybe I installed the batteries the wrong way again. Plus spring, plus spring. Rockseed? More like tumbleweed. I don't know. This thing's dead. All right, just to make sure it's not just a bad batch of batteries, we're gonna lean in back to the Kaiweeeeets, little sweets. The batteries are definitely working here, so we know that those are good. And give it one last test, one last chance at redemption. Still doesn't work. But on the bright side, we do still have a mini level, and my bench is still level. If you want to see some of my other tools under $20 videos, I've got one queued up for you right there. I'm Brad. Until next time, get out there and build something awesome.